ke tla kgopela gore o tle ka mo pele mo president wa rena o tle o sware conference ka lefoko a re kweng pula e medupi a esana na
Viva African National Congress, viva! Viva! Viva African National Congress, viva! Viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva! Viva SACP, viva! Viva! Malibongwe! Igama lamakhosikazi. Roar, young lions, roar. I can see them. Roar, young lions, roar. Forward with the Veterans League, forward. Amanda. Bam Pudiche Bari. You've been having a very jovial conference. It is really jovial. Too much. I can see that. NEC deployees to Limpopo, led by Comrade Togo Didiza, leaders of our alliance structures, Comrade Chupu Matabata, as well as Comrade Florence Razirani, Kim Bishop, Bam Pudije Barki Bishop, Ngavekisi President, I'm sure Lina Neklawakili Bishop. Comrade Kosi Madaje. Comrade Bioscopo Makam. So when I first met Comrade Bioscope, Kiribao Visa Bioscope, Hunale radio na. The television. What the radio? Oh, wireless, yeah. Only wireless. Comrade Nakedi Kekan. And all the PEC members who have just been elected. Now, go film down. No, comrades, it's wonderful to be here, and I'm told that the leadership mix that has been elected is so diverse. It's quite all right. And of course, the pleasing thing is that we've got more women than men in the entire leadership. And we've got young people, good regional mix, MPs and MPLs, some were in business, and so on and so on. So I'm pleased to be here, comrades, because I've heard, or apart from being jovial, that this conference was immensely successful. Thank you, comrades, for delivering a very successful conference. To you, Comrade Choko, and the other deployees, Comrade Kenneth Mashiho, Comrade Tandi Mahambetlara, she's just left. And I also want to extend my greetings to other members of the NEC who have taken time to be here. Comrade Nomvula, Comrade Gwen Ramaphosa, Comrade Enoch Kodongwana, Comrade Nkenke Kekana, Comrade Pesani. No, I don't think. So, comrades, the Pulemabe, the corner. The David Masondo, good morning there. Comrade Colin Mainote. He was hiding behind a mask. So I want to thank the NEC members who have taken time to come to support this conference. And I was told, Jorge, you did not sleep. You were working wire. So I'm sure even the bedrooms in this hotel, you know, I remember when we were organizing mine workers, the Richara conference the whole night, because we would start the conference on a Saturday and they would come from all over the country. Saturday after 5 o'clock we would meet through the night until the next day, and Sunday then they would go back. So when the union had a little bit more money, we said, no, let's give mine workers a treat. Let us give them a wonderful treat. Let us book them into hotels. And then we book them into hotels, go here, Bromoli. And now mine workers, they used to stay in hostels that were terrible and all that. So Bafita Hotel, Omongwabona then says, later, I was the general secretary, James Mutlazi. The bed is so well made up. In a little layers and layers and layers. I looked at this bed and I said, maybe I'm expected to make up the bed again in the morning. I don't know, I won't be able to do this. So, I suppose in your case, you did not sleep at all. I'm glad to hear how you worked through and through. And comrades, I really applaud you because the thinking often is that when we hold our conferences, all we want to do is to elect leaders into positions. You debunked that because you were able to work and go through conference policy documents, and you produce a wonderful declaration and wonderful reports. So I applaud you and I say thank you very much for doing what you did. I want to applaud those comrades who contested and did not succeed. I saw in the media Comrade Masemola conceding, or yes, he did contest, but the branches have spoken, the branches have chosen Comrade Chupu to be the chair, and he accepts that. Comrade Soviet Lekhanyan, I also saw him in the media. Abulela, he was saying exactly the same thing. That is the political maturity we need. We need that maturity, or even as we contest and we lose, we don't sulk, we don't get angry, we don't start dividing conference, and we stick to the discipline of the African National Congress. So in the end, the side that won is the ANC. Is the African National Congress. So when you depart from this conference, I would like you to depart as one ANC in Limpopo. because the branches have spoken, they've elected their leadership, and the important thing is that all of us, comrades, we must unite behind this leadership. We must unite behind Comrade Chopo and those that he's going to work with as officials, and we must unite behind this PEC. And we must support them for the work that they are going to perform for the movement. Comrades, this is the important part. If we don't unite behind them and support them, then the ANC will be weak. A strong, united ANC is the only force that is capable of rallying the people of our country behind the program of the African National Congress and the National Democratic Revolution. That is what is required from us as members of the African National Congress. Now, I was told that the media, some in the media, thought that this conference is boring. They said, yeah, bore a conference in, because they didn't fight. They had, some of them had come here to report on big fights that were going to happen, because that's what they suspected. So sorry, people in the media, the ANC has disappointed you. And the manner in which this conference has been held, in fact, it's a celebration for us as the African National Congress. We must celebrate this moment and picture it in your mind and never forget it for years to come. For we held an extremely well-organized conference that was successful. And Comrade Nomvula, going forward for other conferences, they should learn from Limpopo how a conference should be run, so that we are able to improve on running other conferences. In particular, so that in our discussions we should grapple, as you did, with the challenges that our country is facing. And I heard some of the reports, and I could see that there is wisdom, there is thoroughness, there is analysis in some of the reports that you were putting forward. And that is how the ANC rolls. That is how the ANC moves forward. To move this country forward, it requires you as branch delegates to be deeply immersed in what needs to happen in our country. So thank you very much for very enlightening reports that you tabled here. Because it is important that as members of the ANC we should devote time to question how best we should position the ANC to respond to the challenges of the time that we are living in. And I saw that, I could hear that in your reports, because these challenges will be best addressed by focusing our attention on the priorities we agreed on and that were well articulated in our January 8th statement. We did say that firstly we must build a social compact to decisively address unemployment and poverty. And I have no doubt in my mind, as I was hearing your report, that here in Limpopo, that is also precisely what you are going to be able to do. Because we need to descend this to the lowest level. It should be at that level, at local government level, at our wards, where we build those compacts, where we begin to focus on economic development, where we look at what economic activity can be engendered in places where our people live. I always tell people that today China is the giant that it is in the world economy, second to the US. That growth of the economy started at the local government level. That's where it should start. And we would like to see you, comrades, at local government level, at your branch level where you come from, coming up with innovative ideas of how we can tackle the challenges our people are facing, of how we can tackle unemployment, and how we can also tackle service delivery. Of course, the second priority that we have to work towards is to defend our democratic gains against attempts to undermine our constitutional order and to destabilize our democracy. We saw this last year in July, and we keep seeing people making attempts, whether it is through lawfare, whether it is through various activities they embark upon. We are the ones who must defend this democracy. Like our people rose soon after those days in July, and they said, no, we are never going to allow our democracy to be destroyed by those who were behind the July unrest. Thirdly, we need to accelerate the renewal of the African National Congress in a fundamental way and to rebuild the ANC so that it is more effective and so that it is a trusted agent of change in our country. Now, coming through your reports and coming through the declaration, it's quite clear to me that the message of renewal has sunk in. The message of renewing the African National Congress has been well embraced by all of you sitting here and by your branches. And that, comrades, I applaud you, because that is what we were charged to do by the 54th conference. When we go to the conference, we will be able to report that the renewal of the African National Congress is definitely underway, and the people of the African National Congress in Limpopo are leading that process of renewal. Now, another important priority which we articulated is that of building a capable developmental state with an effective and ethical public service that drives the implementation of South Africa's transformative agenda. And I heard once again in your report how you were talking about this public service and how you were saying the public service must be a public service that serves our people, that is dedicated to serving our people diligently. And in this regard, I want to say, during COVID, many of our public servants worked from home, and they did so to good effect. A number of others, yes, continued to occupy a number of important tasks. Our police, our health workers, our traffic officials, our soldiers, and all that. Over time, we found the coming back to work is not as quick as we want it to be. All our public servants must now come back to work in their large numbers because COVID is now under control. So I make a call to all our public servants. Let's go back to work full time because COVID is now under control. Now I want to congratulate Limpopo. Comrade Chupu, you have been leading a process of government that is looking forward. In fact, Comrade Chupu remulatile kwako Ukraine. Unale ambassador la hopola. And I got 2 seats. wamothusa ngamandla abantu bayekhomboni ashikodoja zibombu namfumakazi wawe nabana. So we brought him back here, and he has really worked hard together with those comrades he's working with to stabilize and rebuild our government here in Limpopo. And you've handled a number of initiatives well. I want to also single out the manner in which Limpopo handled COVID-19. You were the top performing province. You were the top performing province. You handled it so excellently. You employed innovative methods, and you drove the vaccination process against the pandemic. And we congratulate you. And we congratulate our MEC for having done POP an excellent job as well in that regard. I could go on and highlight others, but COVID, now that was the real enemy that we were focusing on. Here in Limpopo, you also did well in the local government elections. Larry Tusize, you really helped us, because much as the numbers went down a little bit due to the turnout of our people to come and vote, much as that happened, but we were still able to win nearly all our municipalities, and Limpopo therefore stands tall in as far as local government participation is concerned, and proving that this is the home of the ANC. Now clearly around the country, and indeed those who did not come forward to vote, we must acknowledge that there were disappointments. There was deep disappointment that many of our people were feeling. They were feeling that we did not live up to the service delivery expectations, that we did not do as much as they had expected. And we should therefore, comrades, work harder to ensure that we do indeed demonstrate to our people that we can do better. We must demonstrate to them that indeed the African National Congress is about being a servant of our people and providing good services. We should spend our energies and talents addressing people's issues and resolving their concerns. And we must therefore prove that we can do so diligently. Now, our people have consistently raised issues of service delivery. One of the things that led to us dropping below 50% countrywide is because of service delivery. Largely service delivery. Yes, you could say COVID had an impact because we had to campaign within a short space of time and we didn't have all the resources, but in the end, it was service delivery. We must therefore work hard to demonstrate our determination to serve our people. And we dropped the ball on a number of issues, even in this province. I can think on the top of my head, the issue of water in Limpopo is a major issue, a big issue indeed. And more specifically, the disappointment that we led our people into with regard to the Giyani water project. And our people have been waiting. I hear 55 villages were supposed to get water from that project. Still they've been waiting. But that is going to be changing soon, because now we are focusing our attention on how we can put right what went wrong with the Giyani water project. And we are going to address it and make sure that our people do get water there. And there have also been other infrastructure projects that must be implemented. They must also be completed, rather than start projects and not finish them. Now we will reinforce this work by ensuring the appointment of competent, diligent people who will go and perform these tasks. Economic reconstruction and creating more employment, comrades, are crucially important in a province where there are 2.3 million people estimated to be living in poverty, where 35.6% of people in Limpopo are unemployed, and if you take the expanded definition, it's almost 50% of people in this province unemployed. Now that by any standard is unacceptable. The cost of living continues to rise, which places tremendous burdens on the already struggling people in our country. Food prices are going up. The cost of fuel is also going up, much as we continue to look at ways and means to cushion South Africans from this heavy impact of the fuel price rising. Comrade Enoch Godongwana keeps knocking at my door and saying, President, the price of fuel is going up. What should we do? So I always say, wise guy, what do you think? What do you think? What solutions can you come up with? So we continue to look at all that. Now, Limpopo, once again, led by Comrade Chupu, has been looking at a number of areas as key areas of economic transformation as part of your strategy. Mining, clearly, is one area, because this province is well endowed with natural endowments such as iron ore, platinum, silicon, which are being utilized for various strategic economic activities. Comrade Matabata, in delivering his State of the Province address, spoke of the development of mines, underground mines, that are going to be taking place in this area, and that will finally lead to jobs being created. Agriculture is another area that Limpopo can really distinguish itself. Agriculture at the primary level, and then in the manufacturing area with agro-processing. Limpopo has abundant land that can be utilized and great opportunities in various agriculture-related areas. Tourism is another sector. Although it was severely affected during the pandemic, it is beginning to show recovery. And Limpopo is one of those provinces that has great opportunities for business development. Manufacturing and SME and cooperatives are further components of the Limpopo economic development strategy. Now, all these were also addressed in your commissions, and I was really pleased to hear how you, as delegates to this conference, are delving into real intricate and particular things. The Musina Makado SEZ will be established later this year, and amongst others, the manufacturing, agro-processing and logistics hubs of this project are going to take off. We are also making advances in designating, I heard one of the speakers, reporters or rapporteurs talking about the Fetaho Mutubatse SEZ. This project has enormous job creation potential, as 21 companies have already shown interest. So Limpopo, comrades, can be on the rise. And I'm glad that at this conference you've identified key economic node areas where we can have growth. Advances are being made in driving the development of the small, medium enterprises, as well as the cooperative sector, such as the support offered through the Limpopo Economic Development Agency to a number of SMEs, as well as cooperatives. Obviously, we want this support to be scaled up. We want to hear it going to hundreds and even thousands of SMEs. Now, our campaign must also be focused on dealing with criminality. Criminality also in this province has been rising. We need to ensure that our community police forums are established, are revamped, and I see community policing forums as the one defense that our communities have to deal effectively with criminality. Now, one other concerning issue is gender-based violence. Our campaign to highlight and eradicate the scourge of gender-based violence, which I've characterized as the second pandemic, has led to greater openness in discussing this heinous crime. The government has also strengthened the legislative part to give greater protection to the women of our country. But gender-based violence, comrades, is also a societal problem, and it requires a society-based response. We need to eradicate the culture of silence and make our communities safer spaces for victims to report such crimes. Now, to be able to do that, it is where our community policing forums do come in. And if all our branches can participate in community policing forums and strengthen the community protection process, we will be able to see the levels of crime as well as gender-based violence also coming down. Making communities safer spaces is also part of our Letsema campaign, where we want to work to also renew the ANC through this campaign. To renew the ANC so that the ANC is seen as an organ of people's power and to bring our people, the ANC, closer to our people. Now, in undertaking the Letsema campaign, the ANC acknowledges that over the course of several years, we have grown distant from our people and we have not been actively involved in addressing the issues that matter to them. Now, Letsema is about grounding our movement amongst the people, ensuring that people can once again trust us to champion their rights and to be the defenders of the poor and the vulnerable. Letsema is a fundamental component of our drive that was mandated by the 54th Conference to rebuild and to unite our movement. Now, we know that we have embarked on this journey of fundamental renewal as mandated by our 54th Conference. We know that that renewal process is long, and at times it is hard. And in the course of this process, there will be setbacks and successes, and that we will also encounter resistance. There will be those who will resist because they are the ones who have either benefited a great deal to that which was done wrongly in our movement. Now, this resistance takes place in many forms. Some is aimed at perverting and diverting the democratic organizational processes. And I was very pleased to hear you talk about some of these wrong practices. And some of these practices are criminally aimed and undermining our democracy and other forms. Resistance and setbacks should never deter us. We should make it clear that those who are resisting renewal should never succeed. The African National Congress must be renewed, and we must emerge successful from this project. Now, as we said in our January 8th statement, all genuine leaders and members of the ANC are agreed on the need for thoroughgoing renewal and rebuilding in order both to adapt to the changing external environment as well as to deal with negative and destructive tendencies that have crept into our organization. So renewal in the end, comrades, in part, and there are many parts to it, is about also improving and modernizing the internal capacity and systems of the ANC. Now we have a brand new membership system that makes it a lot easier for us to be members of the ANC. And this membership system is fault-proof. People cannot easily manipulate it. Although some try, and when they try, we find out about them, and discipline is applied against them. This membership system is modernizing the African National Congress, is eliminating very bad practices that militate against the ethos and the principles of our movement. ANC members must live and conduct themselves with integrity, with honesty, and conduct themselves in adherence of the organizational discipline. You have discussed this in your commissions, and it was great to listen to the report that was tabled here, talking about revolutionary discipline that must be applied in a disciplined and principled manner. Renewal means that we must continue, comrades, our fight against corruption. And the corruption has been changing its face and its form, and we must be on the lookout for how people, as we move on, change ways of becoming corrupt. One of the ways that I've now noticed, and we must talk about some of these things. One of the things that I've now noticed is that there is a lot of overpricing for government projects or tenders. We overpay. We just are made to overpay for everything. The other day I heard of one story in a province where we built 500 social houses and we spent 600 million rand. When I did the calculation, and these are social houses, RDP type, high rise. When I did the calculation, I found we've actually paid 1.2 million for an RDP house. How does it happen? We are overcharged in that manner. Is it because of collusion amongst us? And we only built 500 houses. When I did my calculation again, I found we could have built 3,250 houses for the same amount of money. Now, that is how corruption mutates and changes its form, because now people overprice when it comes to government, and we end up paying much more money. And we've been seeing this happening on an ongoing basis. And comrades, corruption, we've always said, robs ordinary people of service delivery and of development. And we must therefore bring some of these ways in which corruption is mutating to an end. We must refuse to overpay for tenders. We must not allow it, because that is robbing our people. Part of renewing our organization is to intensify political education, to enhance understanding of our history, values, practices, as well as issues that impact or affect broader society. What should now happen with the newly elected leadership is that they must subject themselves to political education. Even if they think that they know everything about the ANC, the political education, Comrade Amos Masondo, which must go beyond just induction, it must be real political education. Even more. It is through this that we will be able to fully renew our organization. As said, the Letsema campaign is aimed at grounding our movement amongst our communities and to actively engage our people in addressing their concerns is a core part of renewing and rebuilding our movement. Now, the organizational renewal discussion document, which you have discussed, that will take us to the National Policy Conference, says that the ANC's historic role, its unity, its purpose, its values, and standing amongst our people have been battered to such an extent that its character as a people's movement and agent for change is under mortal threat. This is a supposition with which every ANC member must engage. We cannot treat this as just an academic issue. We must internalize it and know that we as members of the ANC must address this. We must ask ourselves what role we all must play in providing the whole process of regeneration of our movement. Rising from this conference must be a clear clarion call. However, we rise from this conference to go amongst our people, to go and get our people to be re-engaged with the African National Congress that is changing, that is renewing itself, that is rebuilding itself, that is repositioning itself. And this, comrades, having been such a successful conference, means that we must take its message right down to our branches, right down to the communities where we come from. This is the task that we now have. The January 8th statement gave us clear tasks, and now this conference has reinforced those tasks. Now let me end, comrades, by addressing the matter that has been in the news this week, in social media and so forth. I acknowledge that there is much public interest and concern about claims that have been made in a criminal complaint against me. I remain fully focused on the tasks that I have been given by the people of our country. And I want to reaffirm that I was not involved in any criminal conduct, and once again I pledge my full cooperation with any form of investigation. Now, due to the investigation, I will not really be able to engage deeply or further on this matter, as it should allow the due process to take place. However, I would like to say that I'm a farmer. I'm in the cattle business and the game business. And through that business which has been declared, in Parliament and all over, I buy and I sell animals. Sometimes people buy these animals, and some of the people who have bought some of the animals, some of them are here. I do it, yes. I do it through, the sales are sometimes through cash or sometimes through transfers. Some of the people who are offshore customers and who are sometimes local, they come through and buy animals, and some of them come also to hunt on the farm. And so this that's being reported was a clear business transaction of selling animals. The amount involved is far less than what has been bandied in the press. Babang this morning bariki billion rand, Babang bariki $4 million and so forth. I want to say it's far less. Some are casting aspersions about me and money. I want to assure you, comrades, that all this was money from proceeds from selling animals. I have never stolen money from anywhere, be it from our taxpayers, be it from anyone. I have never done so. And will never do so. I've never stolen money from our taxpayers. My integrity as a leader will never allow me to do so. I will never be able to do so. Now, I will continue to fight corruption. I want to make it clear that I will continue to fight corruption. And some of these things are clearly, they have their own political agenda, and we are all aware of that. But it will not deter me from fighting corruption, because I have never stolen taxpayers' money. That I have never done. And so therefore I will cooperate with any process. The renewal process that we are involved in, comrades, is such that all of us must dedicate ourselves to become the type of leaders who will stand up and be able to say, we are here to serve our people, we are here to make sure that our people get a better life. That is what drives me, that is what makes me wake up every morning to serve our people and nothing else. Thank you very much, Kialero.
Well, that concludes President Cyril Ramaphosa's closing address at the 10th ANC Provincial Elective Conference in Polokwane, saying a lot about how the conference itself unfolded, congratulating the newly appointed leaders. And of course, towards the tail end of his address, President Cyril Ramaphosa addressing those allegations that have recently surfaced around his farm, the theft around his farm, saying that he was not involved in any criminality and that due process should take its place, allowing the investigations around this matter to continue, saying that he is a farmer, he trades in animal and specifically cattle business, and has fully declared this. Some of the words he used there was that he is aware that there are reports that are cast aspersions towards himself around money. He's saying that I have never stolen money from anywhere and from anyone. I've never stolen from the taxpayer, and I will not do so, suggesting there is a political agenda in light of the accusations, and saying repeatedly that he has never stolen a taxpayer's money and that he will cooperate with any investigation process that will unfold. Of course, those remarks are at the back of those criminal charges that have been leveled against him by Arthur Fraser, and some of them including defeating the ends of justice, kidnapping of suspects, interrogation on his property, and bribery. These allegations, of course, come after those reports that there was money to the tune of some $4 million that was stolen from Ramaphosa's Palapala farm in Limpopo by several suspects. And that these suspects were also assisted by Ramaphosa's domestic worker, and how this specific incident was concealed, and Fraser saying that there is a clear cover-up and it was not reported to the SAPS. According to an article that was written recently by Amabungane, there are also links connecting some of these suspects to Namibia, and that some authorities from that country were also in conversation with some authorities from South Africa. So a lot of holes in terms of what is actually what transpired during that time. Of course, Ramaphosa now clarifying to say that he will allow those investigations to take place, and he will cooperate with authorities that are now investigating and looking into these matters. Well, we'll bring you more information around this as we monitor this particular case, very closely. Of course, it is leading up to the run-up to the elective conference in December, with President Cyril Ramaphosa suggesting some form of political agenda. So a lot going on in terms of this case, more questions than answers, especially emanating from the presidency. But we'll continue to monitor the story, and we'll bring you the very latest as and when we receive